Hello and welcome to the Greg Fearon podcast with your host, Greg Fearon. And today I wanted to do something very different. So I've got the Kingmaker, the founder of MMen, author of a book as well on how to handle your divorce for men, Fidel Beauhill. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, man. It's good to be here.
I know.
Okay, this is a little departure for me, isn't it? We're talking to the ladies today, aren't we?
We are indeed. I mean, I'm sure there's a few men that listen to this podcast as well, but this one is for the ladies.
They would be silly not to, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they should be listening. Definitely.
They should be listening, learn some stuff.
So just before we start and dive into the juicy stuff, do you want to give us a quick whistle-stop tour of your background and how you got to where you are?
A whistle-stop tour?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so my name's Fidel Beauhill. I am the modern man coach, aka the Kingmaker. I'm an NLP master coach, master hypnotherapist, master timeline practitioner, certified No More Mr. Nice Guy coach, in the process of becoming a certified sleep coach. I've got my level 2 personal trainer's qualification. I should have my level 3 by the end of the year. I've been a life coach and therapist full-time for the last 3 years, and mainly I work with men who've been through divorces, breakups, or just having a midlife crisis, waking up in the morning going, how the hell did I get here? I do a lot of relationship and sex coaching and things like that. Obviously I'm here because fitness and health is a big part of my life, and they're a big part of everything I do within my communities, and with all of my clients as well. I think it's the bedrock of a good life is to be fit and healthy.
Awesome. So obviously I was on your course recently, which was awesome for me. I learned a whole lot about myself, so that was awesome. But I think your insight into how a man's mind works is going to be awesome to share with the ladies listening to this podcast.
They all want to know that.
They all know the secrets.
I've got 800 of them in the Modern Woman Club, and yeah, they're always searching to try and figure out how men work. It's funny, isn't it? Because women are way more interested in figuring out men than men are in figuring out women.
Why do you think that is?
Do you know what I was going to say? Because they're nosy, right? That was the first thing that was going to come out. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful or rude way. I genuinely think maybe not nosy, but curious, right? Women are inherently more social and more driven to connection with other human beings, right? Humans have been around for a few million years, all right? But we've only been living in this society for a few thousand, right? Yeah. A tiny little bit of our thing, and our neurology and our biology hasn't adapted. Evolution doesn't happen that fast. Yep. And so there are certain things where the way that women operate in their groups, if you think for the large part of that, humans basically wandered around the earth in small tribes, hunting and gathering and moving with the seasons and all of those sort of things. And there were, as with other animals, I think you're into your animals, into your kung fu styles and everything else like that. I think one of the issues with humans is we really we're so arrogant. We like to remove ourselves from and distance ourselves from the other animals on the planet because of our intelligence. However, we share way more in common with all the other mammals than we think we do, like all of them, and especially things like apes and monkeys and everything else like that. So there's a large part of who we are and how we operate is pretty primal, right? And animalistic. And again, a large part of that is our socialization, right? And the way that we socialize. And if you look at some of the great apes, and even just as humans, we need to be together. Yeah. And there is distinction between the way that the male and the female operate, as there is across the animal kingdom. Okay. Yeah. There are different things, different tasks that we inherently are more drawn to. And so women are higher communicators. We're going to use a lot of generalizations as well. Let me put that out there. Obviously, we all fit on a spectrum somewhere in between all of this. But what I just find that completely pointless to have a conversation or a discussion about these topics. So women in general will be more adapted to high levels of communication, interaction, and kind of socialization. Yeah. Because of what they had to do and the way that they had to operate in those times. And so women want to be close. They want to find out about you, right? They want to know about you. They want to be close. Yeah, they want to poke inside your brain. I mean, look, you've got women in your life, they look at you, don't they? And they go, what are you thinking?
Yeah, what's going on? And you're like, nothing. I'm not even thinking anything. I'm just like,
what? Has a man ever asked you that question? Any of your mates, any of your brothers? What are you thinking? Unless it's specifically like, we've got this problem to solve. What are you thinking about this thing?
Yeah, we're very logical. I think with my friends, there's always something to fix.
Purpose.
Whereas with the ladies in my life, it's always been like, what are you thinking now? And I'm just sitting here watching football.
Yeah.
There's no, yeah,
literally nothing. And they can't understand that. They go, what are you thinking? You go, nothing. And they go, because their brain just doesn't do the nothing thing. Like, and actually the masculine searches for that emptiness. That's our kind of goal at the end of each day and at the end of our life, is to finish. There's a bit of a paradox about it. So men are like on a continual drive and purpose. We like to be goal focused, target focused, and we like to be in perpetual motion. But what the weird thing is, what we're actually searching for is for it to be all over, for silence, for peace, right? The masculine is always on this search for peace and for nothingness.
Is that why guys have a shed down the back of their garden to go and hide?
For sure.
Okay.
So we're always after it. However, we don't actually like to stay there for very long when we get it. We then need to have the next project, the next thing to do. Like, we have to keep moving forwards. Yeah. But essentially, that the drive for that is for peace and for silence. And when we sit on our sofa at the end of the day and veg out in front of the telly, we are perfectly capable of having absolutely nothing in our brain.
So, I mean, and that's it's always interesting. I know this is a really small thing, but when I'm watching a film with someone, especially if it's a woman, they're always talking.
Yeah.
And is that to, because I'm quite happy just to sit and just focus. And I think men are very good at compartmentalizing things and just switching off.
Yes. And
is that what you're saying, that's what drives some of that behavior?
Yeah. So again, if we look back at, and I know everybody thinks we've all progressed and everything else like that, and I'm going to keep saying it, right? Our neurology and biology are designed for specific purposes, right? Mm-hmm. This is something we really, really, really need to not try to escape. It's got nothing to do with sexuality. It's got nothing to do with gender fluidity or equality or anything else like that. We can't even have those discussions unless we accept what is, right? And what is this animal, these primal parts of us.
Yeah.
Okay? And so, if we look at our evolution, women gathering stuff and moving around, they stuck together in groups with children, stuff like that, picking berries, walking around the fields, and sorting out loads of stuff, like real, like vital part of keeping us all alive, right? But there's high levels of communication, right? They literally kind of chattering, because it allowed everybody to know where everybody was. Mm-hmm. And it scared off the animals, so they all knew that the humans were over there, and there was a group of them. Mm-hmm. Again, we look at monkeys, right? When they move around, high levels, chattering, making noise, mm-hmm. rustling everything, and everything else like that. Men, on the other hand, were off protecting the perimeter, mm-hmm. right? Hunting for animals, looking for hunting, gathering as well.
War as well.
Yeah. Protecting the perimeter, looking for other tribes, everything else like that. Okay. And so they would do that in smaller groups, but they would also be spread out. So either alone and very, very quiet.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were almost designed to do totally different jobs for the survival of our tribe. Right. Theirs involved high levels of communication, right? And talking and being connected. And ours was, shut the fuck up, we're on a mission. You know what I mean? Stop making so much noise, right? Mm-hmm. And that has traveled right through our culture. And yes, it's been damaging in the way that we currently live, right? When we talk about men not talking and not expressing themselves. Let's remember how much primal stuff and evolution we've got to get over in order to fit into modern society. Mm-hmm. The reason for mental health and everything else like that is our brains, again, were designed to sit in a blooming field where about 4 things would happen all day. Now we've got about 3 billion bits of information go into our senses every single day. We're hyper stimulated and our brains can't really cope and our minds can't cope.
Yeah.
So mental health issues and everything else like that. At no point did those guys ever had to sit down and talk about how they were feeling.
No.
Right? In case they got depression or anxiety. Like they just weren't a thing for primitive man or woman.
Yeah. I can imagine that the rates of suicide in the tribes that we have.
It's zero. Like
zero.
Again, monkeys don't commit suicide.
Nope. No, they don't. They don't. Awesome. And this leads on to one of the first questions, actually. So I had a question from Lady Bridget. So she said, why do men been in relationships, they are committed, everything's great, then they run away and totally disappear, then they come back again and expect the woman to be happy and be like, oh, it's great. Why do men
that sounds quite a specific circumstance there, Bridget.
It does sound very specific.
And again, I think men and women both do stuff like that, and I think some of the stuff to do with relationships has more to do with attachment styles than it does to do with gender.
Okay.
So that sounds like you were dealing with somebody who is a bit of had an avoidant attachment style.
Mm-hmm.
What we've got to remember is like a lot of our emotional responses and the way that we are in our relationships stems from our interaction with the first people we had a loving relationship with, our parents.
Yep.
So we put together a toolkit which is given to us by our parents of how to manage a loving relationship with them. And we then take that throughout the rest of our lives and we use it to engage with other people that we love, friends, family, and certainly partners. Some people are avoidant, which means we like to keep people at just enough of a distance so that they don't get close and can't hurt us, but close enough for us to still get our needs met, right? Avoidant people still want and need to be loved, but they don't want you to come too close because that makes them feel uncomfortable.
Got it. So that's actually sounds a little bit like me, to be honest. Like I'm an avoidant person. Do you remember when I did your program and it was like, yeah, that is me.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of men who do that. It's like,
I know a lot of women that do it too.
Okay, cool.
So yeah. There's literally, the science says there's no gender split between attachment styles, which is why I said sometimes we look at behavior and obviously somebody's experience. Here's what happens. Okay. Avoidance and anxious attachment style, so you could call them the needy people and the ones that run away, right, are actually really attracted to each other, okay, because they're the people that our toolkit works best on, okay,
right,
or worst on actually,
yeah,
subconsciously we think best on. So what tends to happen is the anxious needy person goes, oh, come here, I want to love you, and the avoidant person goes, okay, but no, not really, and they move away. And the more the needy person chases them, the more they want to run away. And the more they run away, the more the needy person wants to chase them. Right? So these two attachment styles find each other extremely toxically attractive to each other.
Right.
And so a woman, perhaps Bridget, judging by her question, I might be getting this all wrong, but some people who are anxious attachment style will go around finding, obviously, members of the opposite sex, men, who are avoidants. And so they'll go, bloody men, why do they always run away whenever I declare my love for them? So they then, in their life context, it's men.
Right, got it. So, and then is that why men will say, oh my God, she's trying to change me?
Yeah.
Right, I gotcha. That makes sense.
That sort of stuff. The changing thing's slightly different.
Okay.
Women wanting to change men is a slightly different process.
Okay.
Oh wow, we're going deep in it. Okay, so
as we go deep.
There's a couple of things at play here, right? According to various different people, from what I can piece together and what makes sense in my life experience through my clients and my own experiences as well, is that first of all, there's a concept called hypergamy, which I first came across in the kind of red pill men going their own way kind of movement, which is not something I spent a lot of time hanging around in. I think there's some useful information in there for men. And for those that don't know what red pill and MGTOW movements are, it's part of what we call the manosphere. So kind of pro-men's movement, largely online. The book, my mentor to Robert Glover, who wrote the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, isn't actually part of it, but his book is certainly championed by a lot of those people. So So there's some good parts to it, and then when you go really deep, there's some real toxic, dangerous elements to it, which we recently saw pop out in Plymouth with that guy incel community, involuntary celibates.
Got it.
So anyway, that's where I first came across the concept of hypergamy, which is a bit of a look at the way women's lifespan goes and how they are, the type of partners that they're interested in, and the times of life, and it links in with their kind of biology. The true sense of hypergamy is that women will always look to level up with a man. So if a man who has higher status, or is a better provider, or comes with more stuff that they want and society deems better, right, in whatever framework that was, if a woman has a chance, she will always dump the guy she's with for somebody who's of a higher status.
Right.
Essentially, that's what the core thing is. And I can hear all the women listening to this go, no, I would never do that. I would never look.
But on a subconscious level, that's what they feel, right? It might not.
For sure.
Yeah, it might not. You might not be able to prove it per se, but
so people's values and everything else like that will come into play, whether they do actually leave their partner, and we've got all kinds of other stuff at play. But essentially, there will be a biological part of them that will find somebody, right, who is either physically or societally superior to their partner. They'll find them attractive, right?
Right. Got it.
Whether they'll leave them or not is another thing. However, so the thing of hypergamy goes, when women are like in their teens, early 20s, they will be having fun. So they will be most attracted to the bad boy alpha guy, right?
Those guys. We all hate school.
Those guys. Did we? I don't know. Maybe I was one. They will be attracted to those guys because they bring like the excitement, that masculine energy. And we'll probably go on to talk a little bit more about polarity later on. But they allow feminine. It's that excitement, right? That real sexual attraction of this guy who really doesn't care what anybody thinks. And is virile and full of testosterone and everything else like that, right? And it's fun to be around, a little bit dangerous and fun.
Makes sense.
Then they come to childbearing, the prime kind of childbearing age, and certainly with society the way it is at the moment, we go late 20s, early 30s, clock starts ticking, okay? And that's where they go looking for the nice guy, right? I need someone who's actually not that attractive to loads of other women, right? Who's going to provide the roof over my head, look after me, not going to escape, possibly does what he's told a little bit, so I can be the one in control of this, and all of that, because this is the safety and security that I want to bring my children up in. Okay,
and after childbirth, there are actual biological and neurological changes that men go through. We don't realize it, like testosterone drops and stuff, so we become more
amenable and more compliant. Absolutely, right? And we get more and more nice guy, because what we want to do, right, is if we're investing our resources into these children, we need to keep everybody happy, right? So this plays right into the nice guy stuff.
Oh, yes.
We want to keep everybody close, so we do what we're told. We have a great fear of then losing the family. There's this other little bit of biology at play here, and why when we look at the stats, actually most divorces happen when the youngest child is somewhere between 5 and 10.
Okay.
Because if we go back to primal times, human children are rubbish, right? They're useless.
Okay.
In the grand scheme of things, right? They flop about. They don't even walk until they're like 2. They don't talk until later on. They can't function as part of society.
Yeah.
By the time kids get to around 7 years old,
they're independent almost.
They're independent, right? They can communicate, they can run, they can climb, they can build things, they can start fire, they can do stuff. They can be a useful member of society, and they then get raised by the tribe, right? Mm-hmm. They go out into the tribe and they belong to the tribe. They no longer need, their uselessness no longer requires 2 blooming parents. One to go out and get all the food, the other one to actually feed it, look after it, make sure it's all right. Doesn't need 2 parents. So both men and women are drawn together during those prime times, the baby making years of mid 20s to mid 30s, right? To have baby, right? And we're kind of like glued together during that period, like, and we're like staying together for the kids,
to keep that family unit.
Right. And there's like loads of stuff going on in our bodies that are kind of like gluing us together for that. Then what we notice is when the youngest kid gets to between 5 and 10 years old, around about 7, that glue starts to unstick a little bit, right? And women, weirdly enough, then move into their sexual prime. Okay,
Yep.
So when they late 30s, early 40s, right, women are hot. Like they want the D all the time. Having said that, what they've done is they've turned the guy that they're with into somebody they don't really find attractive anymore.
Got it.
Right. So now they go reverse back in time and go looking for those alphas, for the guy who's socially, they've crushed this guy. They've made him into, well, listen, I'd hate the terms alpha and betas, but we all know what it means. They've turned this guy into soft and compliant and everything else like that. He's no longer sexy, no longer dangerous, no longer hot, no longer providing that kind of sexual excitement. He's like baby daddy, right? So now you go off over there, right? And I'll go and find myself hot guy, right? And literally our bodies then become, you'll find women, it's slightly different. The woman on Love Island invented the word the ick.
Oh yes, I've heard this term.
The ick is brilliant, and because like the reason why it caught on fire was because women totally got it, and I totally get it. You see women that get it. This is prior to this time though. So when women are dating, a guy can do just one thing, and a woman will get the ick, and that is literally like turning off the lights. That's it. You're done. You're out of here.
Bye.
Red card, off the pitch. Okay. You're out.
You go. Yeah.
However, this type of ick, the marriage ick, creeps in a bit more slowly. Okay, as they depart and stop being so sexually attracted to their partner. Now, a couple of other things. Men are fairly happy with mediocre, let's face it, because what are we after? Peace and quiet.
Yep.
How many guys, you're in the Modern Man Club, you're in my group, how many guys are just like, I just want an easy life?
Yeah, I just want to chill.
I just want to chill.
I just want to watch football on a Sunday afternoon and relax, yeah.
And that is not attractive to the women. But we're quite happy with taking all kinds of stuff from a woman in that, and we're like, why are you unhappy? Look, I've got the house, you've got a car, you've got the thing, I bring in the money, I pay the mortgage, I do the bills. Why are you so upset that I just want to go fishing, watch a bit of telly? Do you know what I mean? I do my thing.
I'm here, I'm being dependable. Is that what
right? Isn't that what you wanted?
Got it.
The real answer to them from a biological perspective is no, not anymore. Now, again, society dictates that we've got all kinds of other stuff at play because we are complex beings, you know, we can, our values, our family systems, society itself,
and all that stuff
can bring us through that. And largely, I mean, we all know loads of people live in unsatisfactory marriages way past that, and they're not happy and they're not having sex anymore. Some people keep the flame alive, and there are reasons for that. Maybe we'll dive into it a bit later. Some people manage successful, but as we can see now, over 50% of marriages end in divorce, and the majority of those end during that period where the kids have started to become functional again.
Got it. Wow. I think you just blew my mind there, mate. I think you just really blew my mind with how many things I've seen and observed and gone,
right,
now that makes sense.
People know this to be the truth. Some of them will argue with me, but deep down, you've seen enough of it. And again, it doesn't apply to absolutely every single person. It may not apply to you, Mr. and Mrs. 55-year-old, still happily married, still bonking away. Great. I'm glad for you guys, but look around you at all your friends and family and colleagues and stuff like that and see how common this situation is. Got it.
All right. Next question from a lady by the name of Leanne. So
I'm in trouble now, aren't I? Yeah.
Yeah. What have you done? What have you done?
I haven't done anything. Well, do you know what? I think I might have. But I'm not sure whether I'm going to share it on here. I messaged her and I said, what did you put that question about? And she went, she just laughed. And I said, I think I know what you might be referring to. And she went, really?
Uh-oh, this could be messy. So
that's fine.
How apparently men don't think before we comment on stuff. Do we not really get the whole, there's a time and place to say certain things? We just come out with whatever's on our mind at the time.
So, and I guess sort of on a personal level, for those listeners, this is my partner, Leanne, asking this question. She's with me, and I am the modern man, you know. I'm very emotionally intelligent. I've got a high EI score. I'm very good at communicating, and we have a great relationship. So it points out there was a moment where I might have said something at a bad time fairly recently. However, it's so rare that it's obviously sticking out in her mind. However, but she raises a really good point. And again, what we're looking at is guys' natural communication levels are lower than women's. Like our emotional intelligence, our social understanding and stuff like that isn't as good naturally. Now we are starting to evolve a little bit, and this is currently why men are feeling a little bit displaced as a group, because we're moving into an area, particularly in the UK, Western Europe, and America, and so forth, where society doesn't really need men and masculinity anymore, right? We're not having wars. They're all fought by drones and stuff like that. Thank you for your service, all the soldiers that are still out there fighting for us. But there's a lot fewer of you than there ever has been, right? We don't really need those guys such a scale anymore, right? We're not digging the mines. We're not building those high-rise buildings. We've got cranes, we've got technology, we've got computer, and the Western economy is largely based on communication, right? And
internet, social media, all that stuff.
Right. And so, which is why we're seeing a rise in equality, why more women in the workplace and everything else like that. And guys are like, you don't need us anymore. We're also seeing a rise of men who are more comfortable in their feminine energy, right? Because we have to learn how to be more social and communicate. Otherwise, we're going to become extinct, right? Because they don't need us anymore.
Don't need us, yeah.
They don't need us anymore. So, but in general, when we look at how we've evolved, men just don't have that as a core part, as a core necessary element. So no, sometimes we're rubbish at reading a room, at reading a situation, at reading a conversation, and we can be a little bit more thoughtless. Because guess what? When we're used to speaking to other guys, if I get something wrong with you, right, you're going to go, "Oi, wanker." Do you know what I mean, dickhead?
Yep, exactly.
The end. And I'm going to go, "Oh shit, sorry mate, do you want a pint?" And that's the end of it, right? You do that with a woman, and she's like, "That's okay."
Yeah. You're
as we can see, this comment has come a good week after said comment, right?
Right. Like, there's this thing, and this is mainly for the men out there. So often, I find that women will hold on to something you said in 2002 when you had brown shoes on. You can't even remember it, and it only comes up later on.
So and again, there's a lot of science behind this, which is controversial, probably. There is such a thing as a male brain and a female brain. Okay? Yeah. Again, everybody's brain is somewhere on the spectrum, right? There will be men with female brains and women with more male brains, right? Everywhere's somewhere in the middle. But there is a distinct difference in the way that they work and the biology around it. And so one of the things they've looked at is actually, like, as you said earlier, men tend to compartmentalize stuff. So we put everything in a box that makes sense to us. We go, right, that's the thing, that just happened, that goes in this box over here, that goes in that box over there. And there are a few doors that link one box with the other box. Do you know what I mean? And it goes, but because it makes sense.
But generally, it's a logical flow. This goes here. This
according to our logic, right? So here's the thing. The other problem that we do is we tend to prize logic above emotion, right? Which I don't think we should, right? Okay. I really don't think we should. I don't think it's any better. So, but what women have is everything's kind of joined up, right? There are doors everywhere, trapdoors everywhere. It's all linked. Everything's linked, right? All the stuff that's ever happened, there's a doorway linking it to everything else at some point.
Right, got it.
Which is why they're able to go, you just go, how did you put that and that thing together?
Yeah.
It's like, well, because we've only got one door in that box. Do you know what I mean? And it goes into a different thing. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, this is blowing my mind. I might have to get you on like a pot already. I'm already scoping out what's going to be next. So is that why? Because here's the other thing. Obviously, men nowadays often are told you're not being man enough, because there's now this. It's like we feel like, for men, I guess sometimes you feel like you can't win because you're hearing, we've had enough of masculinity, but then if we are masculine, or we're not masculine enough, it's like, well, where's all the real men gone? And men are just confused, going, what are we supposed to do right now?
Correct. And this is essentially why I do everything I'm doing. What seems to be happening is men and women are actually getting further and further apart, and that breaks my heart. And we like our generation, especially, these are like unprecedented times. I'm not just talking about COVID. I'm talking about in general, the way that men and women relate. Like I said, there's no need for those distinct gender roles anymore.
Mm.
We've been moving away from them, but like our generation is the real one. We had feminism, massive thing certainly for the generation previous to us.
Yep.
It was needed. They fought for and won lots and lots of things, and equality is getting there. It's not there yet. With things like earning power and the workforce and everything else like that, right? We're moving in the right direction with that stuff. Yeah. But what that's meant is our assumption is, right, we're all the same. We all need to be the same. We want everybody to operate the same, because we don't need a difference anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And on the one hand, that's true. But what we are seeing, and as my position as a relationship coach, the stuff that I see from men and women is that actually we're crying out where one area of our life where we still really want that difference is in sexual and romantic relationships.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's one thing for us to be the same and equal in the workplace, right? And other places in society. But what women are really saying when they go, where are all the real men gone, is like, because they want a hot guy to sleep with, right? To have sex with. That mm-hmm. dynamic is still there. Now, again, we'll do a little disclaimer. Obviously, I cannot speak for gay people.
Yeah, of course.
Transsexual people. I'm not going to do the whole friends thing, but I need to say that what I'm saying doesn't negate or disparage that part of our community. Gay people, trans people, nothing against that whatsoever, but I am not equipped enough to speak on that because I have zero experience of it, right? The experience I have got when I have spoken to trans people, certainly on the issue of masculinity and feminine and masculine and feminine, nobody actually understands it more than somebody who feels like they're born in the wrong body.
Right, okay, yeah.
Understands that there's an energetic element to this as well.
Yeah.
So let's just say my point of interest and my specialism is about cisgendered heterosexual people. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so generally, men and women have this thing where they still want to be sexually attracted to each other.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. Again, men are much happier to settle for mediocre in a relationship. And do you know what? We're much more likely to kind of be less fussy about who we want to sleep with, right? We require less, right? To be satisfied. Whereas women are quite thing, which is why they're being more vocal about this. We're not going, where have all the women gone? Because we'll probably get our balls cut off if we did that. But more and more men are actually. But women are certainly more vocal about, hang on a minute, like we want this thing to be to find it sexually attractive. And whilst our values, and we look at it from a societal thing where we want to be evolved enough for it not to matter, right? There's a primitive element where women want to make love to alpha males, like, you know.
But then on the same token, and I've got a question from Helen. Her first comment was, this feels like dangerous territory.
I think I glimpsed that one. Yeah,
you saw that one, right? Yeah. So she was talking about men not speaking their truth and being open up front about who they are, what they are, and what's going on, especially in this era of maybe internet dating, etc. And obviously you've talked about it before, and I've worked with you about, you know, being the whole Mr. Nice guy and everything. So why is it that...
And she's got a great point now, hasn't she? Like, no, this is what I teach, as you know. Men need to tell the truth. That is absolutely the essence of masculinity. One of the things that men get really, really wrong is we kind of base our interaction with women on what we think their immediate reaction is going to be, rather than on what's best long term for the relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a couple of things. Is this video going out? Do people seeing my hands, or is it going to be a
podcast as well? So it's on YouTube as well. So yeah, give us hands.
And again, I know I'm saying controversial stuff here, right? Essentially, women live from in their early teens, sort of late tweens, for the rest until menopause, right? They essentially have lots of hormones running around their body on a monthly cycle that's in tune with the planet and the moon and their sisters and the women around them and everything else like that, right?
Yep.
They have hormones, right? That create emotion. and moods and everything else like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they essentially spend their lives on an emotional roller coaster that comes from inside.
Yeah.
Right. That's driven internally. Men have one thing. We have testosterone at a scale enough to elicit emotion, right? So we can get angry internally over nothing, but mostly our emotions are triggered by external events, not internal ones, right? So we worry about our effect on triggering an emotional reaction from a woman. So we try and tell them what they want to hear, right? One of the big things that men really miss out on is what women really want from us in that alpha sense, right? That protective male. I know I keep using the phrase and I don't particularly like it, but we know what it means when I say it. They want dependability. They want surety. They want security. They don't want you to blow in the wind. That's their job, right? Is to be on a roller coaster. What they want from us is to provide that anchor and to speak our truth. Okay. It doesn't matter what their reaction is, which might be exploding at you for saying it initially. But internally, actually, what they go is, wow, that guy still told me the truth, even though he knew it might not be what I want to hear, which essentially gives me trust in him.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
That he will always be truthful and honest to me, no matter what he thinks my reaction would be. So they might go off and be mad at you initially, but 24 hours later, you're going to get the goodies.
But men are thinking about the immediate.
Yeah, we just don't want it to go off the rail in the first place because we think that if he goes off the rail, I'm not getting the goodies. And actually, the opposite is true.
So it's a deep down. We're just going. I don't want to hear the noise. I don't. If I upset her, I'm not getting cuddles. I'm not getting the cuddles later.
Yeah, not getting the grown-up cuddles. Yeah.
We'll say cuddles. Grown-up cuddles. I like. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, but is there not a sense of us also looking for approval from ladies?
For sure. I mean, look, and that's what it comes from, right? So then it's a fear. They get mad at us. They kick us out. They don't want us anymore. For sure. And we don't get access. We don't get access to the cuddles.
I'm sure there's a lot of men who have grown up in kind of households as well, where the mum is the boss of the family, and if they got the disapproval from mum, then they'll try and carry it on. So therefore, they'll act and do things in a certain way and hide things to make sure that they seem like the good boy.
Very true. Yeah, a lot of guys will do that, and they don't realize the harm it's doing to sexual attraction, to the relationship, because you know what, and then they carry that on and don't speak the truth generally out into the world and even to themselves, you know. And this is a big problem for guys. And as you know, when we start doing it through my Council of Kings program, when I get guys actually going out and telling the truth, they go, "Oh my God, like nobody did kill me. In fact, I still got the cuddles." You know, it's like a miracle. I got more, right? And my relationship's better and healthier. And, you know, actually, I'm getting less nagging, less blowing up, less exploding. Once your partner gets used to you telling the truth and she has trust in you, the trust is the biggest aphrodisiac for women.
Got it.
And we can only instill trust if we speak the truth.
Just tell the truth. Right. Got it. So, guys, if you are listening, tell the truth. But I guess for the ladies, then, how can they help their partner, their man, tell the truth? Because they've probably been so used to the man just kind of, I'll fix the fence later.
Yeah. So he's just telling you what you want to hear. You know? It's a difficult one for women because, again, it's a long game because they've tried it. And again, I've got nearly 1,000 of them in the Modern Women Club, and they go, well, you know, and I did, and I don't know whether I always believe them. They might think they said it all out in the thing. And again, if this comes in the middle of a relationship where the opposite has always been true, if you then start going, look, it's okay, just tell me the truth. Like he's going, I remember we got 1,500 guys in the man club that are like, don't do it, it's a trap.
It's a trap.
So this is a long game for both parties, right? In terms of instilling trust in each other. Guy also needs trust to know that he can speak the truth without getting attacked or lampooned, right? I mean, I don't agree with that. My principle is that men should lead the relationship and the men have to be the brave one and take
the risks.
Take the risk, take the hiding, take the emotional outburst, whatever it is. But you lead that space. But if women want to lead it or at least begin to show the guy that it's safe for him to lead in that way, then it's about taking it down a notch. when he does tell you the truth, don't explode. Really sit down with him and say, look, I know I've seen all the memes about it being a trap and everything else like that. And I just want you to know that really, it means something to me when you tell the truth. And even if I do explode at the moment, later on, you're much more likely to get the cuddles if you tell me the truth.
And that leads back and then into this whole thing about, one of your mentors, Dr. Glover, about not being a nice guy all the time.
For sure. I mean, look, okay, we're talking a little bit about nice guy stuff and people going, what's wrong with being nice? So listen, there's nothing wrong with being nice. But what nice guy syndrome is something else. Essentially, everybody is just looking to get their needs met, right? Mm-hmm. Especially in a romantic relationship. Men just still want to get their needs met, whatever those needs might be. Maybe cuddles and love and respect and all of that stuff.
Yep.
We've seen, especially the reason nice guy syndrome is such a big thing for our generation. I mean, I think it's always existed, but particularly in our generation, is that the previous generations or our subconscious feeling about masculinity that has come before us is that it was overbearing and bullying and about kind of taking and exerting power over people,
control,
right? Especially over women, control, right? And so our generation kind of want to do the opposite to that, right? So we're like, whatever we do, we don't want to come across as dad or granddad, right? We don't want to be previous generations of masculinity. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be nice, right? We're going to go out of our way so as not to appear controlling, overbearing, bullying and everything else like that. So we're going to smile sweetly and be nice. Essentially, though, we still want to get our needs met. We still want cuddles.
Yes.
Right? We still want to be loved. So what we're going to do instead, we're going to manipulate, right? We're going to use what Dr. Glover calls covert contracts, which is the concept that really blows my mind, which is I'm going to do this thing for you. In exchange, you're going to give me the cuddles. When you don't, I'm going to get upset. Here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you.
So this is what kids do as well, right? Kids are the ninjas at doing this stuff.
Yes.
And that's obviously where we've learned it potentially. I don't know, because obviously most things in our lives are kind of that 7-year-olds. That's where we learn most of it. So we just carry on that behavior, right?
Yes.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Yeah, we learn it as kids for sure.
Yeah. Don't talk to this, but or approach or the classic was always get your friend to come and knock for you because you knew that's how you would get out, right? You wouldn't, and pay Jamaican Parenting 101, get someone else to do it. If you ask the question, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
So you just continue that, right? Cool. And how can, because one of the big things that the ladies I work with come to me is that they always feel like they put themselves last. They never have time for themselves because they're always the caregivers in the house and doing so much more. And they want to get their partner to help them more in the house. Mm-hmm. Can you help the ladies do that better or find ways to help? Because you must hear that a lot in the modern women's club. It's like, oh, he doesn't help me. He doesn't do anything in the house and all the rest of it. So is there any advice you can give from your experience in relationships?
It's about motivation, isn't it? And again, values, priorities, it's what stresses women out, essentially, again, at a real primal level.
Yeah.
Right? If the home isn't kind of sorted, organized or whatever. And again, not all women care about this stuff at all. And some guys really do. But I think there's something that drives a woman when the stuff in the house isn't getting done. And also with like her level of priority, right, is kids have to be okay, everything has to be okay, everything has to be organized. We've got the calendar, we've got the events. That social stuff is also much more important for women. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, why doesn't he check the calendar? Why does he just think he can go to the pub? Do you know what I mean? It's like, because it's just not as important. So, I mean, again, I hate to say, acceptance is great.
Of course.
If you want to be happy, cleaners are great, right?
You have to
get him to pay for a cleaner. Like, why are you doing it all? Consistent. At the end of the day, it's appreciating that it's just not a priority. It's a priority for you, but not for him. Mm-hmm. So if you can find a way to make it a priority for him, like link it to cuddles, That's a good thing to do. Guys kind of know this, if we do this, that, and the other, then we get reward at the end of it.
Isn't there?
And women are going, oh, why should I have to do that? Why should? Because it just is. I'm afraid I don't have a better answer for you than that. Like, some people just don't have the same values as you, and you married one.
Yeah.
Right? You married somebody who just doesn't find the same things as important to you. And yes, he will want to do things for you to a certain extent, but also, he wants to keep himself happy too.
Yeah. And it's like you said, it's accepting that we are primal beings with primal intentions. So yeah, I think that's probably the big thing that comes out of this conversation, is that we've got so many societal things, but actually at the base level, there's, what do I want?
Yeah. And let's face it, women go, oh, it's really sexy when he does the washing up and all this sort of stuff. Maybe once or twice. But trust me on this, ladies, if your hubby dashed in from work, went, oh, I must get the Hoover out, put his pinny on, did all the washing up and everything else like that, and started hoovering up and changing the baby's nappies, and did that all day, every day, trust me on this, you would soon stop wanting to give him cuddles.
Because he's now become dependable.
Because now he's turned into...
He's doing what
one of your friends. He's turned into a female energy, feminine energy, and you will stop finding that attractive. And look, again, I'm spitting all kinds of controversial stuff, but if you search deep down inside, you kind of know what I'm saying is true.
Wow. Okay. There's so much. Do you know, we're gonna have to do a part 2 on this stuff, because I'm sure when people listen to this, they're gonna come out and be like,
"Come on, want to fight me?"
You're gonna fight me because how dare you have Fidel on your podcast, Greg? I think you said some real gems for a lot of people today. So I guess the big one: how can people find you and listen and come? Because obviously you've got the Modern Women's Group, Modern Man's Group.
The Modern Women's Club is a group on Facebook for all the ladies and me. Modern Man Club is just my favorite space on the whole internet. It's just a great group of guys in there. We've got about 1,500 guys in there, and it's growing nicely and slowly. The best place to find me is on Facebook, Fidel Beauhill. Again, search for the groups. We've got a Council of Kings coming up soon. We start the next round on the 30th. We've got a week to go. There's 2 spaces left if you want to get involved.
It's an awesome program. I've been through it. It's taught me a lot about myself. So ladies, or guys, if you are listening, it's worth investigating and finding out.
I've got a couple of guys whose partners have encouraged them to be on the program.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Although after listening to this, I'm not sure how many women will want their men to come on there. But trust me, I get nothing but cakes and cards and presents and messages from the wives of the guys who come on this program that are really, really happy with actually what happens to their men when they come out the other end. Also we've got the Modern Man podcast that we'll have to get you on at some point as well. So yeah, you can check that out. The Modern Man stuff all over the place. And if you're going through a divorce, you can go on Amazon and find Divorce, the Modern Man's Guide bestseller on Amazon as well.
You're a man of many talents, sir.
Seems that way. Yeah. It feels quite funny.
How do you make time for all of this sizzle?
I don't, man. I'm just, like I said, I've just discovered today that I've got to move like in the next few days. So I'm looking at my diary. Do you know what? I breathe.
Just stop and breathe.
I breathe and I prioritize. So those are the 2 things. So rather than it's responding rather than reacting. So you stop, you breathe, you decide what you want to get out of stuff, and know what your priorities are. Right. So I never have more than 3 things on my to-do list. Even with all this stuff going on, I've got 3 things on my to-do list today. Got
it. And you know what? I think that last gem can help anybody
for sure
in the aspects of their life who listens to this podcast. So Fidel, you've been a legend. I think we're gonna have to do a part 2, and thank you for coming on, man. And if you're watching this back and you love it, share it with your friends, share it with the girls that you talk to, and share it with everybody, because I think there's some real gems in there. And obviously leave a review on iTunes as well. All right, talk soon.
Thank you very much, Greg. Bye everyone.
Bye.